Hello all, welcome to part 38 of TestNG training series. In this session, I am going to explain and practically demonstrate how to read data from Excel files using POI API so that the data providers can use this POI API to read the data from the Excel files instead of hard coding and then pass that same data to the test methods. Okay, this is what we want to achieve. If you can see guys, if you can see in our previous projects, if you see here, there is a sample test method to which we are passing the data. But here the data is hard coded. This username and passwords are hard coded. We are not reading them from the Excel files. Okay, we are not centralizing them or reading from the Excel files. So what we are going to do is, okay, in this session, I'm going to show you how to first of all read the data from the Excel files using POI API so that this technology or this technique we can use for replacing this hard-coded data in the data providers so that data providers will read the data from the Excel files using POI API and then pass it to the test methods. If you have to modify this data, you don't have to open this individual class files and modify this hard-coded data, guys. Rather, you can directly go to the centralized Excel file where the data resides or data is modified, updated, and added there. Okay, that data will be dynamically taken by this data provider and then pass it to the test method. This is what we want to achieve. So to achieve this thing, okay, to achieve this thing, I'm going to take two sessions here. The current session is all about reading the data from the Excel files using POI API. Once you understand this, the next session I'll show you how to use this or utilize this data read from the Excel files into the data provider methods to pass into the test methods. That we'll see in the next session. Okay. For now, just learn about the POI API and how POI API can be helpful for us for reading the data from the Excel file. The basic session is this one, guys. Next session, we'll actually utilize it for our TestNG purpose, where we will use the data provider method to read the data from the Excel files and then pass it to the test method. That will be covered in the next session. Okay. So for now, reading the data from the Excel files using POI API, Apache POI API. So to understand that, guys, to understand that, first of all, we have to know what exactly is this Apache POI. As I already mentioned, Apache POI is an API. Okay, Apache POI is an API, or you can also call it as a library. There are several libraries, guys, like Java is a library, which comes with a set of predefined interfaces, classes, predefined methods, and variables. Similarly, Apache POI is also an API or library we can call, which is similar to Java, like similar to Selenium. Okay, many other APIs are there. Okay, many other API libraries are there. So Apache POI is one of them, an external library that can be used with Java and Selenium, so that Java can read. Java doesn't have the inbuilt capability to read the data from the Excel files. Rather, in Java programming, we have to use this Apache POI API library. Along with the Java API, we have to attach Apache POI API in the same project where Java library is available. And with the combination of Java and Apache POI API, we can read the data from the Excel files. Okay, but Apache POI is not only about reading the data, guys. It's all about handling the Microsoft files. Okay, Apache company, here Apache is a company, guys, or organization, you can say. It is providing this API or library known as POI API or library. What is the purpose? To read, write, update Microsoft files like Excel, PowerPoint, and Word. Okay, if you have to experiment this Apache POI, if you have to practically see how the Apache POI library works, you should have this MS Office installed in your machine, guys. Without having MS Office, we cannot proceed further with this Apache POI API. So Apache's POI API library provides, okay, the library which contains a lot of predefined interfaces, classes, methods, and predefined variables using which we can read, write, update, create, delete, those all these kind of operations that can be performed on the Excel files, Microsoft Excel files, Microsoft companies, MS Excel files, MS PowerPoint files, MS Word files. We can do that. But as software test engineers or test engineers or test automation engineers, whatever you can call nowadays, even testers are doing automation, manual test. There is nothing like manual or automation. Everyone has to learn automation, right? So in that case, a tester has to, okay, a tester has to do what with these Excel files, and how the tester is going to use this Apache POI. Mostly, guys, we use this Apache POI API for handling the Excel files. Okay, even though Apache POI API has the capability to work with Excel, PowerPoint, and Word documents, but software testers or software test engineers or software test automation engineers Okay, they will use POI API in our automation to perform different operations on Excel files, like creating the Excel file, deleting the Excel file, reading the data from Excel files, updating the Excel file, writing into the Excel files, changing the colors of the cells in the Excel files. Okay, deleting the columns, deleting the rows, anything, deleting the sheets, creating the sheets, like that. Anything can be performed in Excel files. But the main operation that we generally use is POI API in our testing is for reading the data from the Excel files. This is the main thing. Even though POI API is capable enough in doing a lot of thing on Excel files, okay, but mainly in automation, we use it for reading the data from the Excel files. Most of the projects use POI API for reading the data from the Excel files. This is the main operation. Okay. Now, you know what is POI API and what exactly is that, and how the software testers are going to use POI API for their purpose that we discussed. Now, next thing you need to know about is Excel files. Okay. You should have some basic knowledge of Excel files in the form of POI API. There are some terminologies used in Apache POI API, guys, related to Excel file. So I have to compare the Excel file on left side, and right side I have to use the terminology used by POI API. Okay, so this is what is the topic about. So what are the terminologies? There are terminologies in POI API like workbook. What is a workbook? What is a sheet? What are rows and what are cells? We have to understand in the Excel file. Okay, so let's go to a location, guys. Let's go to a location where nothing is there. Okay, let's create an Excel file. Let's create an Excel file. I'll say this one as sample Excel file. Okay, sample Excel file, guys. Okay, let's say this is a sample Excel file. So the name of the Excel file is sample. This entire document, this entire Excel file is called as a workbook, is represented as a workbook. Okay. In terminology wise, Apache POI API also calls it as a workbook, guys. Okay. So remember this terminology. The workbook represents the entire document, entire Excel document is called as a workbook, guys. Now, if you open this Excel file or Excel workbook or Excel document, whatever you call, there are sheets at the bottom, okay, in the form of tabs. Sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, sheet 4, many number of sheets, any number of sheets you want. In sheet 1 you can store different data, in sheet 2 you can store different data, sheet 3 you can store different data, sheet 4 you can go to store different data. These are sheets. Okay, second terminology you have to know about the Excel files is sheets. Okay, in a workbook there will be multiple sheets, contains multiple sheets in the form of tabs at the bottom, and you can rename them. You can rename these sheets, guys. Okay, so you can rename this as login sheet. You can rename this as logout sheet. Okay, you can give names for these sheets. That's another thing. Now coming to the sheets, okay, let's go to one of the sheet, guys. Okay, here in one of the sheets, say login sheet, we have rows. Here a lot of rows are there, but none of these rows have data, right? So what I will do here is I will give some email and password. Okay, as the column headings. Okay, column headings, password, and okay. Here I'll give an email, a motori cap1 at the rate gmail.com. This is one email, and this is the password, guys. I'll give the password as 12345. Okay. Now a motori cap2 at the rate gmail.com. Here again 12345. A motori cap3 at the rate gmail.com. Okay. 12345. Like this, I'm giving some, some data. Okay. So here, how many rows are there? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 rows are there. Okay, 4 rows are there. How many rows are there? 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, including the heading. There are 4 rows. So these are the rows, guys. Okay, these are the rows in every sheet we have rows. Okay, rows are the rows which have actually data, guys. Okay, this is a row. This is a 4 rows are there total. Okay, remaining all are not rows because they don't have any data. Okay, now in each and every row in Excel file we have cells. For example, if you take this first row, we have 2 cells, email cell and password cell, heading cells. And in the next row onwards, we have the data cell, email data cell, password data cell. Okay, email data cell, password data cell, email data cell, password data cell. Okay, these are nothing but in every row we contain cells. There are 2 cells in every row here. Okay, this is what is the basic knowledge that you have to know before actually utilizing this POI API for reading the data from the Excel files. Okay, after you have known this terminology of workbook is enter document sheets, there can be multiple sheets in the workbook, and in every sheet we can have multiple rows and having the data, and in every row having the data we have multiple cells. We can have multiple cells. Now, the next topic you have to understand about the POI API is Excel files and classes. And you can say these are classes, guys. Okay, these are predefined classes in POI API. Okay, Excel files and predefined classes in POI API. And there are two versions of Excel files, guys. Okay, if you go with an older version of Excel, older MS Office softwares, if you say, okay, they used to save the Excel files in the form of .xls .xls extension. But the latest MS Office softwares are storing the Excel files. If you create an Excel file using the latest MS Office software and save that in your machine, it will be storing it with an extension known as XLSX. Just now I created this Excel file, right? Let's find out the extension of this XLSX, this Excel file. So this is a sample Excel file I created, guys. Right click on this, select properties, guys. Now you will get the extension here. .xlsx. An extra X is there at the end. Okay, but older version of Excel files used to have only XLS X. That extra X is not there in the older versions of the MS Office softwares. Okay, so you can also create the older version of Excel files using the latest version of MS Office, but by default they will be creating in XLSX files. No one is nowadays using older version of Excel files like .xls. No one is using. Everyone is using .xlsx only. So you'll be mostly focusing on XLSX. But the POI API library, okay, which is provided by Apache organization, is providing separate predefined classes for handling older version of Excel files and latest version of Excel files. Okay, for handling the older version of Excel files having the extension as XLS, the predefined classes that are provided by POI API library are HSSF workbook. Okay, for representing the entire Excel file, right? This is what is the predefined class being used by the POI API for handling the older Excel files. Okay, having the XLS extension. For handling the recognizing the sheets and performing the operations on multiple sheets of this entire document, HSSF sheet is a predefined class in POI API. Okay, for older versions of Excel files. HSSF row. Okay, for rows, HSSF row. For cells, HSSF cell. Okay, how to use this predefined classes? I am going to show that in the next session. Not next session, in the same session, but next topic, guys. Okay, this will be covered. Reading data. We are going to read the data from the Excel files using POI API, where this predefined classes will be used, but we will not be using the older version, guys. Okay, we will not be using this predefined classes of the older version. Rather, the predefined classes of the latest version will use. Okay, the same way you can use the older version, guys, but I will be focusing on the predefined classes of the latest version. That is latest version. In place of H, here we have X, guys. Okay, that's what is the difference. Nothing but here instead of HSSF, here we have XSSF workbook. HSSF sheet, here we have for latest version XSSF sheet. HSSF row, in place of that we have XSSF row. For older version we have HSSF cell. For latest version we have XSSF cell. The last letter XLSX. Because of this, X is being created here, taken as a consideration by the developers of this POI API for handling the latest Excel files. So we'll not be worrying about the older Excel files, guys. We'll be focusing on the latest Excel files only, because nowadays everyone is using the latest versions of the Excel files, and these are the predefined class we are going to use, and I'm going to practically demonstrate for reading the data from the Excel files using POI API. Okay, fine. So let's expand this. Okay, now how to read the data from the Excel files using POI API? Further, there is a step-by-step process, guys. Okay, so first we have to create a Maven project. Let's open the Eclipse ID, and here already two projects are there. These are the older projects, guys. I'm going to create a new project. I'll say File, select New, and select Project. I'll get a new project dialog. In that, I'll search for Maven, guys. When I search for Maven, I'll get this Maven folder with this Maven project. Select this Maven project and click on Next. Okay, so it's taking time. That's fine. Now I'll simply select this option, guys. Create a simple project. Okay, skip archetype selection. I'm not going to select the archetype. It will take time. So I'll just go with the default template given by Maven. Click on Next, guys. And here I have to, in the artifact ID, I have artifact ID field. I have to give the project name. I'll give that the project name as demo project. Okay, demo project. And here group ID DP you can say, and click on finish, guys. That's it. Okay, the project name will be created, guys. Demo project is created. So it is loading here. After the loading part is done here, now expand this. This is how the template comes: src main Java, src main resources, src test Java, like that. Okay. Now what we are going to do is src test Java and src test resources is also there. We'll go to src test Java, guys. Okay, this is a place we are going to create a class and all those stuff. Okay, Uh, let's create a class, guys. Right click new class. I'll say sample class. Okay, I'll just name this class as a sample class. In this, I'll create a main method, public static void main string of args like this. I'll create. Now, here I want to write the logic. Okay, I want to write the code for reading the data from the Excel files. Before writing the logic, do we this particular project, does it have an Excel file here created? Does this project have an Excel file created here? No, right? It doesn't have an Excel file. So what I will do to create the Excel file, I'll right click on this project and create a folder, guys. Okay. Either you can create a folder or directly create under SRC test resources also. That's also fine. But for now I'll create a folder, guys. Okay, just to make the things easy. I'll just create a folder and just name the folder as files. Under the files, okay, under the files, I'll create the Excel file. Okay. So first, let me create an Excel file here in the. I'll just right click and create a new Excel file. I'll just name this file as employees file, employees.xlsx, because new software. Open this employees, and I'll rename this sheet as uh, let's say one. That's it. Okay, some random sheet name. Okay, nothing much. And here I'll give first name as a column name, last name. Some columns I'll give, guys. Okay, some columns, some 3 to 4 columns I'll give. Location, and other one is experience, and I'll give one more thing. Uh, currently working, true or false. Okay, currently working in the company or not. Okay, so location, experience. You can give one more column if you want. There is no. Okay, company, currently working or not. Okay, so like this, some columns I gave, guys. Okay, just out of my imagination I gave some columns. I'll not give much data, guys. It will be more hectic for me to create this much amount of data. So 3 records I'll create. Arun is the first name, Motor is last name. So I'll highlight this headings so that you can differentiate. Location is Hyderabad, and experience is equal to, I'll give 16 years of experience, and company, I'll give the company as QFox. Okay, QFox, and currently working, true. Okay, boolean value true I am giving. Okay, true is the boolean value. Okay, so over the right click and say format cells and see what is the value it is selecting. General, custom, okay, number, currency, accounting, time, percentage. Okay, it's a boolean value, guys. True is a boolean value. It's automatically taking. That's okay. Then Arun Motori, Varun, Dawat, and I'll say Delhi, 5 years of experience. Let's say Razer. Okay, some company name, random company name, false. You see, it's taking as false, capital. And then Tarun, Bhaskar, Bangalore, 10 years of experience. Okay, Confluence, some random name, and here true is working. Okay, some random names of the companies I'm creating. Okay, so just save this. Just save this, guys. So here we have the workbook. In that workbook, we have a sheet known as one sheet. In that sheet, we have 4 rows. In that 4 rows, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns, 6 cells actually. For every row, we have 6 cells. Okay, this is what is the thing. Now, copy this file. Copy this employees file into this project under the files folder. Paste it. That's it. Now here, create the path of this Excel file. Okay, string Excel file path. Excel file path is equal to, I'll say system.get property of user.dir. Okay, if I say user.dir, this is up to the project path. Okay, add that with extra thing under the project. Directly under the project, we have files. Okay, if this file is under src test resources, then we have to say src test resources, but here files is there. That's what I wanted to simplify. Backward slash files under the project, under the files folder, we have this employees dot xls x file. Okay, we should be very careful in spelling mistakes and all. Okay, So that part is done, guys. That part is done. What is the next one? What is the next one? Excel file is path is ready. Next one is I have to represent this in the form of a file. So I'll create a file from Java. File Excel file is equal to new Excel file. New file. Sorry, new file. Okay. I'll import this file from Java IO package, and I'll provide the path of this file here. Next one is I want to read the data from this file. So I have to use file input stream. File input stream FIS is equal to new file input stream. Like this, I have to create the file input stream. Now hold the mouse on file input stream, import this, and here Excel file you provide here as a constructor in the constructor. Okay, and still error is coming because we have to surround with try catch. In real time, we have to definitely surround with try catch. We should not be using ignoration, like using throws declaration. For now, for demonstration, I am ignoring this. Okay, this will be added to the method declaration, but in real time, we should be using try catch blocks. Now, next thing is that I want to use a predefined classes of this POI API. POI API library predefined classes, that is XSS workbook. I want to create an object for the XSS workbook. Okay. So here I will write XSS workbook. Okay. Workbook is equal to new XSSF workbook. Like this, I have to write, create an object. Now, if I want to if I hover the mouse and try to import this, it will not be there because this project is by default coming only with the Java library, but it's not coming with the POI API library. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this MVN repository. This is a Maven project, so I'll go to the MVN repository and search for POI here. 3 letters, POI, and I'll get this POI, POI OOXML, and POI OOXML schemas. I'll first go to the schemas, guys. The latest version that is available in POI OOXML schemas is 4.1. I'll go with the 4.12. I'll copy this. I'll click on this so that it will be copied. Maven tab, click on this and come back here and open this form.xml file. Here, create dependency stack dependencies. Okay, dependencies, and at same time you have to end that with slash dependencies. Like this, you have to end. Okay, after that you paste the whatever you copied from the MVN repository, right? You paste it here. Okay, I'll just paste it again. Just press tab so that it will be aligned. Save this. Okay, POI OXML schemas 4.12. Now go back. This one is done. I'll go to the POI OXML. POI OXML has a version which is latest than 4.12, but since I have used 4.12 for OXML schemas, I'll be using the same version here. Okay, I'll be using the max latest version, which is common for 3 libraries. Okay, copy this, come back here and paste it here. Okay, now tab. That's it. Save this. Now third one. Go back. Normal POI. Click on this. And here also latest is there, but I'll go with the 4.12, which is common, which should be common for 3 dependencies that I'm adding here. Paste it, press tab here, that's it. Okay, don't worry about the versions of the Excel file, that is not much okay needed. So simply save this. Yeah, done. Okay, all the libraries have been added, automatically downloaded. You see POI OXML schemas, POI OXML, POI. Okay, everything is there here now. Now go back to the sample.java where I try to create an object for the XSF workbook, which is a predefined class from POI API. Okay, for handling the latest Excel files. Import this XSF workbook from POI API. Now this constructor, we should not be keeping that empty. Rather, we have to pass this file input stream into this constructor. Okay, and hover the mouse and say ignore the exception. In real time, we have to use package blocks. Now, from this workbook, now I have represented this Excel file in the, this particular statement has represented this Excel file. This complete Excel workbook is represented here, the name of the workbook. Now using this workbook, I'll get the sheet. In the workbook, what will be there? If I open it practically here, if I open this employees dot from my machine, you can see that in this workbook, there is a sheet known as 1, name as 1. So either you can say workbook dot get sheet at index 0, you can say, this is one way, get sheet at index, because this is the first sheet which is having the index 0. Or if you know the name of the sheet, you can also use another command known as get sheet having the name as whatever the name that you give. What is the name of the sheet that you can see here? The name of the sheet is 1, ONE1. Just give that name here, guys. That's it. And it will return you the sheet, the form of XSF sheet. This is the second predefined class. XSF sheet is coming here. So I'll say sheet is equal to over the mouse and create local variable. XSF sheet declaration will come automatically. Now I got the workbook, and from the workbook I got the required sheet in which data is available. Okay, I'm getting near to the data. I went to the appropriate sheet where the data is available, from where I can read the data from the Excel file. In this particular sheet, data is there. Here, what are their rows are there? How to get these rows? First, I want to get number of rows. First, I want to count the number of rows. Okay, so to get the number of rows, we have to use this sheet, guys. Copy this sheet, paste it here, and say dot get uh, last row number. Okay, this is one of the way to get the number of sheets, but there is a problem with get last row number. So if I print this out as it is system.out.println, so I print out this get sheet get last row number. What is the last row number? What do you think you will get last row number? You may be thinking that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 will come, but 5 will come, guys. Okay, because it will take in the form of index. Uh, sorry, rows, right? Sorry, rows. Zeroth index first in. I'm saying columns actually. So that's wrong. So if I say get last row number means what are the rows here? 1, 2, 3, 4. You may be thinking that 4 will be printed here, but 4 will not be printed. You may be thinking that this particular method get last row number will print. This is a predefined method from the XSF sheet predefined class of the POI API, but this method will print 3, guys. Why? Because first row is having index 0, second row index 1, third row index 2, and fourth row index 3. So 3 will be printed. Last row number will be printed as 3. So run this code, you will see 3 will be printed in the output. That's not what I want. Okay. When I run this, you see 3 got printed. In this Excel sheet, 3 rows are there. That's not correct, right? It's the index. It's giving you the index, guys. Okay. I'm not saying this method is not working fine. It's giving the index. What I recommend is use another method known as, instead of this, use another method known as get physical number of rows. If you use get physical number of rows, it will not give you the index. It will give you the exact count of the rows. Count of the rows, that is 4 rows are there. So 4 should be printed now. Okay. This is what I want. Okay. Number of rows is equal to 4. That's what I want. Now 4 will be printed in the output, guys. You see 4 got printed. So I'll not be using the other method that I showed you before this. I'll be using this method only, guys. I'll remove all this stuff and put a semicolon here. And this method is going to return in integer format. It's nothing but row count. Okay. Rows is equal to. Simply I'll say rows is number of rows is equal to. Okay. Rows. Now I want to get number of columns. How many number of cells I want? In every row, how many cells are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cells are there. Okay, let's see that. How to get the cells? Again, you have to say sheet dot get sheet get row. Sorry, get row. I have to say get row, guys, and we have to give the row index here. First row index, any row index you can take, guys. Okay, this row or this row, any index you can take. First row is having the index 0, guys. So better to go with the header option. So get row of 0 I'll give. Okay, 0th index row. That is the first row. First row is nothing but 0th index row. Dot get last cell number. But here, last cell number will not give you the index. It will give you a number of cells only. Okay. So here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 will be printed. If you print this as it is, 6 will be printed, guys. As you can see here, you can check it out. This will print 6, not 5. Okay. So, but get last row number will print index, but get last cell number will not print index, guys. Okay. It will print the physical number of cells only. Okay. That is 6 cells should be printed. 6 should be printed in the output, guys. If you get 6, we are good. You see, 6 is printed. We have 6 cells here, 6 is printed. So I'll consider this as int columns. Columns or cells, whatever you can call. Columns is better. Okay. Number of columns, rows and columns. Here data is divided in rows and columns. So that's fine. Okay. Now I'll be using for loop. Okay. One of the ways we can use for loop, guys. Okay. After creating the Maven project and all this stuff. Okay. We created the Maven project. If this is not possible, normally we created, guys. We don't have to need that. Download POI API libraries from MEN repository. We downloaded these 3 libraries with a 4.12 version, if you remember. Okay. So added this to the pom.xml file. Then we created the files folder under the project. We created the sample Excel file, say employees.xls file. We named one of the sheet as 1. We created the columns, different columns here, first name, last name, location. What are the different columns we have, guys? Location, many columns we have created. Experience, experience. The other one is company, and other column is current working. Okay. Intentional I created this many columns because you see this first three columns are holding the string data, whereas fourth column experience is holding the numeric data, fifth column is holding the string data, and sixth column is holding the boolean data. Intentional I created that. Okay, I want to get different type of data to be stored in the Excel file. Now fill this some data into this, and I copied the Excel file into the files folder. Okay, we copied the Excel file into the files folder here. Okay, we don't have to refer any file here. So now you know how to create the Excel file. Now we already created a sample class earlier itself. In sample class we have the main method, and under the main method. Okay, now I am going to demonstrate this code one, guys. Okay, that is by using the for loops. Okay, by using the for loops concept I am going to demonstrate. After that I'll use iterators. Okay, we can use for loops, either for loops or iterators we can use. I'll first use the for loops, then I'll use the iterators. Okay, fine. Anyhow, using for loops for int r is equal to, r stands for row, let's assume. Row having the index 0, row less than number of rows. Okay, that is index wise it is correct, r plus plus. Okay, we should not be giving equal here because physical rows, right? Less than 4, r is equal to 0, r less than 4 means 0 1 2 3 4 rows. Okay, automatically. If you know Java you can understand this logic. For int c is equal to, c means column, let's assume. C less than calls, that is this one. Okay, and c plus plus I'll say. And here I'll get the row, guys. First of all, here I'll get the row. How to get the row is she dot get row of r. Just give r here. Okay, index value r. It will return you XSS of row. You see, XSS of row. Otherwise, just say row here is equal to, row is equal to. Okay, row is equal to, you say, and hover the mouse and create local variable. XSS of row will automatically come. Another predefined, you see, another predefined class is now available, right? Workbook is over, sheet is over, XSS of row has come now. Okay, in this logic. Now I'll take this row, guys. Here I'll take this row dot get cell of this column, column number, column column this column index, you can say. Okay, 0 less than columns. Okay, here index value we are taking. Okay, so it's like 0 to less than 6 means 5. 0 to 5 is nothing but 6 columns, right? Row dot get cell of c. It will return you XSSF cell, the last one, guys. Okay, the last predefined class here, XSSF cell. Okay, it is returning. So here I'll say cell is equal to, over the mouse and say create local variable XSSF cell will get. Now you see every cell, if you go to the cellular level here, these cells either will have some string value or numeric value or boolean value. We don't know. For that reason, I want to find out the cell type. Okay, how to find the cell type? Cell dot get cell type. This is a method. This is a predefined method which is coming in the XSS of cell predefined class. This is a predefined method. It will get you the type of the data that is stored in the cell. So it will return you cell type. Okay, just type cell type is equal to and hover the mouse and say create local variable. Now here switch case you write and provide the cell type here. Provide the cell type here, and in this this cell type, sorry, this object reference you have to give cell type, and here write the case. If it is string cell type, if the retrieved cell after while reading this from rows and columns, if it is a retrieved thing is a string cell type, then system.out.println I just will say this particular cell dot get string cell value. If it is string type, I have to retrieve in the form of string value. Okay, then I have to say break. Next case is if it is numeric cell type. Okay, if it is numeric cell type, system.out.println cell dot get numeric cell value. Okay, then break. Case if it is boolean type of data that is available in the cell, then we have to retrieve the cell data in the form of get boolean cell value. Hope you are able to understand why I have provided a different type of data in this Excel sheet. Okay, Now whatever the data is there, we are printing it. Okay, let's see whether this will print the data or not. Okay, let's see whether this particular logic will print the data or not. Okay, uh, I'll just right click and say run as Java application. Let's see whether the data that is there in the Excel, this particular Excel will be printed or not. You see the data got printed, guys. You see first name, last name, location, experience, company, current working. Arun Moturi, Hyderabad 16.0, QFox true. Varun Dawat, Delhi 5.0, Razor false. You see all the data, three records of data. Tarun Bhaskar, Bangalore 10 years of experience, Confluence and true. Okay, all the three sets of data got printed. Okay, that's fine. That along with the headers, it got printed. That's good. But the formatting is not good. This is not the way I want to be printed. I want to print in the rows and columns format. What I have to do? For that, I have to change the logic a bit here. Remove the print ln here. Just remove the print ln, guys. Print ln. Just remove that here. Save this. Right click. Run as Java application. Now it got printed in a single line. Okay, it got printed in a single line, guys. Okay, so what I'm going to do is after every for loop, after every inner for loop, I want to put system.out.println statement so that every row will be printed in a separate line. Okay, right click, run as Java application. Now we got first name, last name, location, experience, company, and current working, but there is no spaces. You see, after first name there is no gap. After last name there is no gap. That's the problem. So what I will do here is, here I need to add something like plus some space, or you can give some hyphen also. Okay, instead of space you can give hyphen so that you can differentiate between the different headings and data. Like this you can give. Now run this, right click, run as Java application. This time you'll get a better format of data. First name, last name, location, experience, company, current working. Arun Moturi, Hyderabad. But still, you see, this is good, guys. But the symbol is not. I'm not satisfied with the symbol. I'll just give pipe symbol so that it will separate the data well. And also, I'll give some space before the pipe and after the pipe so that we should have proper gap. Space, pipe, space. Okay, now save this and run this. Right click, run as Java application. Now it looks good. First name is Arun Varun Tarun. Last name is Moturi Dawat Bhaskar. Location is Hyderabad, Delhi, Bangalore. Experience is 16,510. Company is QFox Razor Confluence. Current working true, false, true. Okay, like this we got. But instead of giving it every line, you see for every case I am giving this place and all. Rather than giving that, I will put a print statement here. System.out. Instead of print ln, I'll give print normal print. And here inside this print statement, I'll try to print only this part. Only this part I'll try to print. Okay, I'll put that here. I don't have to put in every line now because I can put it at a single line. So immediately after this value got printed here, this will be appended. Okay, so that's a better way. Now right click, run as Java application. If you get the same output, we are good. Yeah, we got the same output, we are good, guys. And one more thing is that this warning message is coming with the workbook. We have to close the workbook at the end. So almost at the end, we have to close. Where is the main method ending? Here is the main method. Here we have to close the workbook. Workbook.close. It's a best practice. Okay, it's not compulsory, but it's a best practice. And also warning message will go off. And run this code again, and we should get the output. Yeah, we got the output. Fine. So this is how, guys, we have to use first way, that is code one, by using for loops. In place of the for loops, we can use iterators also. There's another way of using the stuff, that is in place of the for loops we can use iterators, which is more dynamic way, I can say. Is more better way, I can say. Okay, more better way than for loops. So I'll show you how to convert this code into with the help of iterators. So I'll do one thing, guys. I'll just comment out this code for now. If required, I'll be using a bit piece of code from there just to save time. But I'll comment this out. I am going to use the iterators. This sheet, which is a object reference of this XSF sheet predefined class, has a method known as iterator method. Sheet dot iterator method. Okay, this will return you iterator of rows. Okay, here I will say rows is equal to, over the mouse, create local variable, iterator of row. Okay, we can iterate for every row. Okay, so what I will do is while rows dot has next method, while rows dot has next, like this. Okay, this is a predefined method of iterator of row. Okay, then rows dot next method is there. Okay, another method of this predefined this is an interface actually. Okay, is rows dot next. It will return you the row, guys. Okay, it will return you the respective row. Row is equal to over the mouse create local variable. You see how simple we got the row. Okay, we don't have to know the number of rows, number of columns. Dynamically we can get. Okay, it will find it out. Now again, on one more while loop you create. Now say yeah, there is one more thing. This row class also has one more method known as iterator. Okay, iterator method. Similarly, the sheet has an iterator method, right? Similarly, this row also has an iterator, which will return you iterator of cells. Okay, iterator of cell. Here I'll say cells is equal to over the mouse and say create local variable. Okay, we got cells. Now while I'll say cells dot has next. Sorry, has next. I have to write has next here. Dot has next. Similarly, we have to say cells dot next. This will give you the cell. This will give you the cell. Okay, cell is equal to create local variable. It is very simplified core when compared to the for loops, guys. Okay, logic is very simple. Dynamic logic, you can say. And we have to find the cell type, right? From here, it is common. Okay, once you have the cell here, once you have the cell here, the remaining things are common, guys. Okay, this part is common. All this part is common. Keep on copying. Keep on copying. Let's only copy step by step. So I'll find the cell type here itself manually. I'll file the cell types. Why to confuse? Get cell type. Okay, it will get you the cell type. How to get the cell type? Cell type is equal to create local variable. Now we have to write the switch case. You remember the switch case, right? That we have written in the for loop. Same switch case we have to write switch of cell type, and just start here and end here, and say case if it is string data in that particular cell is string type, then system dot out dot println. Instead of println, I'll use print statement. You remember, right? Why we have to use cell dot get string cell value and say break. Okay, I'll be fastly writing because this logic I already explained the as part of the for loops. Okay, case numeric. Okay, then system dot out dot println. System dot out dot println. Cell dot get numeric cell value. So let's say break. The other one case. The next one is boolean. Boolean system dot out dot println. Instead of ln, we have to use print. You know why, right? Already in the for loops I mentioned. Cell dot get boolean cell value. Then break it here. Break it here. And at the end of the for loop, you have to write a at the end of this switch case. At the end of this switch case, we have to write a print statement. Normal, it's not print ln, guys. It's print statement. Just for separation, for the gaps between the cells. Space, pipe space like this. And at the end of the inner for loop, we have to write print ln statement as usual. Okay. The way we have followed with the for loop, we have to follow with the same with the iterators also. Now instead of the for loops, we have used iterators here. In this logic, we have used iterators. Okay, using the iterator method, the return type is iterator of cell. Here again, where is that? She dot iterator, row dot iterator are giving iterators and has next and next methods. And using that, we are retrieving the data and printing. Okay, if the string type of data is there in the cell, string value will be retrieved. The numeric data is there, numerical value will be retrieved, and so on. Let's run this code and see whether we are getting the same output or not. If we are getting the same output, we are good. You see, we are getting the same output. 3 records are getting printed along with the headings. Okay. Now, if you see this 16.0, 5.0, 10.0 are coming. I want to convert that into guys. Okay. Let's see whether I can convert that to into or not. We may require to convert that into and then print. Let's run this and see. Right click. If it is numeric, I want to convert that into int. Yes, 16.5.10 is working fine. Okay. So this is what is the logic, guys. Iterators also is fine. Okay. So this knowledge you should have, guys. Okay. This knowledge of reading the data from the Excel files you should have for going to the next session. Before going to the next session, okay. Here is a logic code actually. Okay, it's part of the notes you can take. Why we are learning all this stuff? Why we are learning reading the data from the Excel files using Apache POI API? The reason behind that is next session. If you have to understand, this session is very important, guys. Okay, if you don't know how to read the data from the Excel files using Apache POI API, then how can you supply the data from the data provider, which is reading the data from the Excel file to the test method? Okay, so data providers should not hard code the data. Rather, data provider methods should read the data from the Excel files. After reading that, after this data provider reads the data from the Excel files, it should supply it to the test method. That's what I want to achieve. Okay, so let's try to go deep into this in the next session. But for now, this much is enough. Okay, understanding how to read the data from the Excel files using Apache POI API, which is a pretty exciting session for this session, is completed, guys. So hope guys you understood how to read the data from the Excel files using Apache POI API. Okay, this session is useful for the next session. So, okay, next session is dependent on this session. So without this understanding, next session will not be understandable. So I recommend everyone to go through the session and then watch the next session. Okay. So that's all for this session. In the next session, I'm going to cover another TestNG topic for you. Till then, see you. Bye bye.